Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time for another episode of Oxygen Not Included here in the Ultimate Base 4.0. You have to excuse me, I'm pretty sick right now. Still in the mood to play the game, so don't worry about that, but I might have to make this a little bit shorter in order to take care of my health and myself. If I remember correctly, in the previous episode we took care of the kitchen and you gave me a bunch of tips and hints. For one, for instance, is that we cannot use a temp shift plate here because the temp shift plate is of course gonna suck the heat or the chill out of the adjacent tiles, and therefore we're gonna run into huge issues when it comes to temperature regulation. Yeah, we cannot really do that, so I have to get back in there as soon as possible. Let me see, what is the best course of action? Probably to just take out this tile here. And then I'm also taking apart the temp shift plate. You know though, maybe we can make this easier just by exchanging the temp shift plate here with a drywall. I know, somebody took the fried mushrooms out of there. Well, I guess that's fine. Okay, I think I got the drywall in there, but geez, somebody took the bleach stone. That doesn't make me happy. In this case, I have to add a little bit more bleach stone, hopefully not too much. Yeah, I cannot really limit this. Good, there is my bleach stone. Now going back and we should have a much more reliable situation when it comes to chilling this down. Honestly, it might still not be enough because we have to cool down the insulated tile, or at least one of the insulated tiles as well. But yeah, we'll see. Right now, looking at this, the radiant pipes, they are changing temperature quite a bit. So I'm assuming everything is going to be fine. Good. Now, the next thing we have to take care of is the power. We are lacking the power for quite a while now, and I figured these plug slugs, we can actually save them. They are the last two plug slugs, and they've been doing a great job in actually helping me get the power. So I guess one thing we could do is expand this room here. This would be 90 tiles. Oh no, that's not good. Do I even want to make this 96 tiles as well? Maybe we should save the plug slugs for other planetoids and get into geothermal power. On the other side, I need another solution right now. You know, what if we actually took care of the natural gas we find here on this planetoid? There's an awful lot of natural gas and it even comes very cold. That's because of this natural gas geyser. I just had this open for an extended period of time. Oh, looks like I want to actually get rid of that either way because it's totally in my base. Yeah, you know, I think it's a good idea in general. I'm just gonna set up a pump right here. Let me see, somewhere I can actually build it, and we're just gonna pump this straight over to the first planetoid. There's even a little bit of power that I can borrow very easy. Let's check it out. Maybe I'm even gonna set up a sensor. So gas element sensor, we want to make sure that we detect at least a little bit of natural gas before we activate this. And then on the first planetoid where we have the teleporter, we're just extracting this. Let me get this all the way over, and I guess right here we could go up and over as well. And yeah, looks like we can just go ahead and hook this up. This should be absolutely working. So right now this will go all here. We don't really actively store it. I will be taking care of that another time. Right now the most important part is that we start pumping the natural gas out with the gas element sensor, detecting natural gas, of course. There it is, and the last pipe. This should already be working, and just going for it. Wonderful. Okay, now that is going to help tremendously and probably get us over the hump. The only thing I want to consider is that we don't always activate the natural gas generators. So what I'm going to do is make them dependent on this smart battery again, so they don't always just turn on to create the water, but they will as soon as we require the power. And here we have it, all of them activated. Natural gas is just incoming and it will be queuing up. You know, having one pump is more than enough, and then every time one of these natural gas generators is active, we can just go with them. Like this guy's going to be active in 5.4 cycles. So now we should theoretically be able to charge up the batteries again and use the entirety of our infrastructure, including the new kitchen. So now all we need to do is make sure that the food that we cook is also landing back inside of this tile. And if I check out this tile, now the cooling seems to be working much better, but it doesn't seem to really be affecting the material that is on the floor. Right now I have 1,800 grams of chlorine in there, so we cannot really do anything else. But what I could do is set up a conveyor loader right here that is going to be responsible to pick out the stuff that I require. For instance, we want always a little bit of food in this fridge, but there are also other things we want to extract. Like for instance, in the short run, I want to get out the bleach stone that I have in here, but everything else is probably going to have a more logical destination, or or maybe multiples of these conveyor loaders. I mean, we can have them basically everywhere on the top here. But for this first one, I just want to install a chute and make sure that I can extract materials that I have here that I don't want. And I just noticed in order to be able to build this, I will have to remove something and set up a ladder, which is a little bit of a pain in the butt. There it is. Right now, I don't even have anything in here that I want to keep, so I'm just gonna set it to all, and there we go. It's all out. Now I just gotta make sure that somebody picks up the bleach stone. Yeah, that's already happened. Okay, what is incoming here? Meal ice. And it will be transported over to the electrical grill right away, at least as long as there is the space for it. Now, I would also like to see some of the food just laying there, not doing anything, to see how quickly it is willing to actually cool down. Okay, I've been observing the situation a little bit, still taking apart more of the infrastructure from the previous space, and I figured, looking at the power issues we have, it might be time for an industrial sauna. Also, the temperatures slowly but surely are getting out of hand, at least in places that I don't actively regulate. I mean, all of this right here is actually looking really good, but down below here and with the batteries and everything, it's just getting a little bit toasty. Also, my cooling system here for the volcanoes is struggling because I'm using water that evaporates at 100 degrees and we just need to use a better coolant. I thought about using petroleum. The problem about this is just the thermal conductivity is better, but the specific heat capacity is almost half as good. That means generally it will take much less to heat up the petroleum. And it's still gonna evaporate at 538 degrees, which then is basically much worse. So the best course of action until we have the supercoolant, I think, is to shut down one of the volcanoes. Since I need to get in here in order to repair it, I think I'm gonna do just that. So a temp shift plate made out of coal, and we're gonna place that right here with a really high priority. And now if I make my way inside, we can hopefully shut this down with the next eruption and then casually take care of the rest. But we can clearly see in this liquid reservoir, I cannot keep this up any longer. I do need the supercoolant for my plans to work out. One cobalt volcano is still going to be enough for our purposes. Currently, we have almost 30 tons of it. Now, the first layer of the industrial sauna here, I would like to be for natural gas generators. Let me actually see. How many do we need? We have one geyser here with an average output of 104 grams. This guy here provides 123 grams, and the one on the second planetoid is providing also 105 grams. That is the average output. Considering they are not going to be active at all times, we can probably get away with 4. So let's say right here, we're gonna get started, 4 tiles per generator, and we want 4 of them. So our room is gonna stretch at least to this point, and then I want to have some ladders to be able to access all the levels. Wonderful, Nisbet, thank you very much. Okay, once that is done, this should no longer be an issue. We can easily keep up with one cobalt volcano, just not the 2 of them. Inside the industrial sauna, we basically want to have a steam room at all times in order to generate power with the steam turbine. So everything we built in here needs to be built out of steel in order to keep up with the overheat temperatures. So I want at least 4 of these guys right here. And it looks like we already ran out of steel. However, I reactivated the metal refinery, so we should be making some more of that very soon. Now, what else would I like to see inside the industrial sauna? Maybe some other sort of power generation. What about petroleum generators? I'm actually not a huge fan of them. They just use so much liquid at a time. Yeah, 2 kilograms of combustible liquid. It's just insane. It does also produce an insane amount of power, but still. Now, thinking long term, we probably at some point get enough petroleum so that we can waste it. And in this case, we probably want to be prepared with a bunch of generators. I'm just gonna set up 1 in order to not actually use the steel for it. And then right down below here, we have the space for 2 rows of batteries. Still gonna go with the jumbo batteries, so we can use the smart batteries with the active generators, filling it up halfway, and then the inactive sources such as the plug slugs and the solar panels will fill it up all the way if possible. But there we go. We basically want a row of batteries right here as well as on the top. I'm now also gonna attempt to get in here again, and I'm actually gonna be using some petroleum or oil in order to achieve that. Now the cobalt volcano is erupting and it should be... actually maybe we're not gonna be successful in this scenario with the temp shift plate. Yeah, holy cow, it is cooling down way too quick. Yeah, in this case, we might want to reset it completely. Also, kind of avoid the water from going through and cooling it down. And then I'm just gonna open this up and release the water. Oh no, we get some heat damage. Ah, gosh. Okay, let's not pick things up. Just keep the cobalt in there. Okay, now I'm rerouting the water. We can get rid of that. You know, it's funny, I had this critter drop-off point with auto wrangle surplus, and because it was exposed to everything, it caused Amari to basically wrangle up all the critters. And it looks like we have another meteor shower upon us. Curiously enough, it doesn't happen on the first planetoid. This is like the first time it only happens on the other two planetoids. Oh, maybe I actually just missed it. I also got my power cables in here. We can just connect these through the ladder shaft. And then technically this here would mark the end of the contraption. Now I'm inputting the petroleum. We still have a little bit of carbon dioxide here, which is fine. If I go ahead and just fill these up with tiles and then remove them again, we should be able to have a vacuum and then enter the room safely. And there we go. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We can open this up. Open that up, then add a third aqua tuner maybe. I want this to be an enormous cooling endeavor for this entire planetoid. Though we might have to restructure the cobalt volcanoes to also work like the gold volcanoes, because it seems to be quite easier to just cool down the steam turbine and the final cooling stage instead of the entire contraption. But you never know unless you try. Okay, no, never mind. I was just looking at it before the actual meteor shower. Yeah, everything got destroyed. We also need to kind of secure our transit tube access point here. Okay, now I think it would be really interesting to also power up these rooms. We still have a little bit of convenient space here. All we need to make sure is probably to lead the power cables through a different slot. And also, should these really all be mesh tiles? Yeah, probably. But there's one thing we haven't taken care of, and that is all of the drops these guys are gonna produce. If we allow the polluted water to go all the way down, then it's going to evaporate and it's going to leave behind a little bit of dirt. So this is not really a satisfactory solution. It also means over time we're going to have more and more pressure inside of the industrial sauna, and we need to take care of that as well. Now maybe one easy fix would be to keep going here and actually allow it to drop down below, where we'll be taking care of the extra liquid and maybe even the resulting carbon dioxide from the natural gas generators. Petroleum generators, if I'm not mistaken, are also going to produce polluted water, so this is kind of fitting in here. Yeah, you know, I think that's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to allow it to drop down below and then have a little processing area next to the steam turbine, but not connected with the room, so it's going to be divided. But maybe we can have a carbon skimmer or a pump to balance everything inside. Either way, my next aqua tuner would be going here, and I want to keep this at a low priority, so they build everything else first. I also put the petroleum generator at a low priority. But yeah, essentially I would like to see all of this built first, including the piping here and everything, that I'm gonna do the exact same way as I did with the two other aqua tuners. We then already need to think about how to route the gas, which I think I'm going to do just next to my oxygen. It can then directly move into the natural gas generators. And then, of course, we're also bringing out the carbon dioxide here. And I would like to see the carbon dioxide go down for processing. I don't necessarily want to dump it into the planetoid, maybe just get rid of it. The petroleum generator is also going to produce a little bit of carbon dioxide. That means the carbon dioxide is probably going to be at the bottom and the steam at the top, which means if I only have one gap here, it's probably not going to be enough. And then the floor is covered with a liquid, so it's just going to struggle overall to get the carbon dioxide down. So maybe then instead of these last batteries, we're going to have a gap for the water to actually dribble down, and then also leave more space for gases to flow down freely. There, just have a ladder piece here and probably one here as well, so we can get rid of this layer. Now at this point I need a little bit of access to obsidian. This might be an issue. Well, maybe we can take apart this insulated tile and then just set up a storage with a limited amount. So say I have a storage here, just temporarily. Get rid of this. Can I get rid of this? Yeah, there's my storage bin. I want to store, let's say, 5 tons of obsidian in here, so we at least have access to it. Oh no, dupes are just gonna bring it over here again, right? No, I have it at priority 5. Yeah, that's actually fine. It is at 1000 degrees and it's actually cooling down, so that is a bad sign. Is it heating? Yeah, it's heating up the tile. Ah, jeez. I need someone to build this insulated tile, please. Somebody. Come on! We're already at 300 degrees. There we go. Okay, now this should have stopped the interaction here, and therefore the abyssalite isn't cooling down anymore. Also, the cobalt volcano here is now taken care of. Everything is overheated. but at least my cooling loop is flowing again uninterrupted. Now, in order to make this room a little bit more efficient, let's have a look at the stations. We need, what do we need? A power control station. Yes, that's exactly what we need. It doesn't even have an overheat temperature, so we can save a little bit on steel. And oh no, it's larger than I thought, but we could fit it here, or we just have these first two guys a little bit lower, which I think is what I'm gonna do. These two first mesh tiles. There it is. Okay, power control station. Place you gold. I want to make you out of gold. Place you right there. And I'm gonna deconstruct the ladder here, set up a door, and that should make this a power room. And this is where I need to reroute the cabling. Say we go straight down here. That might actually make a little bit more sense. And then just add heavy watt conductive charm plates here. This will then allow me to get rid of this portion of the power cable and therefore set up some doors to divide this into a power room. And this is going to make all of these generators 50% more efficient, which is going to be an absolute blessing. Good. Looks like we're done with the mushrooms here. Yeah, all of this can go. And we're also done with this portion of the base. I want to disassemble most of the stuff here. Wonderful. We've made some substantial progress, and I decided to make this layer here also a solid layer. So all the liquid will be dropping down. Some of it will evaporate and leaving behind some dirt. The other liquid will just pour down where we are going to collect it. And so I think I will be able to take care of the entire issue fully automatic, and no duplicants will have to pick up dirt. Right now I'm still waiting for some fossil deliveries right here. Lyra is taking care of it, bringing that stuff over to the main planetoid so we can keep on crafting the steel. If we lay it out in a pattern like this, I can reach all of the machines here, or the entirety of the floor, with the auto sweepers, except for this little piece right here. That could be an issue. Now these guys are overlapping, but I did it so that I can fit two of the generators in between and then another one here. So maybe we can prevent this from happening by just having these as mesh tiles as well, so the liquid can drop down and hopefully it's never going to evaporate here. I also took apart the hydrogen generators right here. At the moment we're using up the entirety of the hydrogen we're producing from the spawn right here at the base. So this is the first power source that we're utilizing as soon as we drop below the 90% mark. And then the next resource would be the natural gas that will kick in here. It will be going down into the generators. Now maybe we can utilize this space right here in order to set up the smart battery that is going to steer everything. This also needs to be built out of steel. It goes right there. And then I also hooked up an automation wire. So either we enable the petroleum generators together with the natural gas generators, or maybe we're just going to set up a delay so the natural gas generators can take care of the issue. And if we're using more power, then we are activating the petroleum generators as well. So all we have to do here is maybe set up a filter gate and just set up an adequate delay. Another thing I would like to initiate is maybe thin the gases a little bit inside of the base here. I think I'm just going to open up a little portion here in order to get rid of it. Maybe we can use this part. So just get rid of the background buildings here, and then all of this oxygen and the hydrogen, but especially the polluted oxygen and the carbon dioxide can escape. And I don't want all the gases to disappear just yet, since we have machinery that are dependent on being submerged in gas, but it's going to be the first stage of cleaning up the planetoid from the unnecessary gases. May unreachable food, what are you talking about? I need to build this cable for this auto sweeper to work, and right now it's not working. So maybe let me get rid of that, and all of the shebang should land in this fridge. So my thinking is that we have this conveyor loader to extract materials that we don't want inside of here, if this ever occurs. And then this conveyor loader here is going to pick up all the materials and ingredients that we drop on the floor here. It will be delivered into this conveyor loader, and then it will be going all the way over to our drop-off site, where the food is going to be put back into the respective conveyor loaders to be cooked. Okay, much better. Now this seems to be working. I'm gonna pull up all edible stuff right here, but it's gonna have a priority of 1. So whenever we need to store it in this refrigerator, it's gonna prioritize that. And then maybe we're also gonna remove the rot piles in case we get some. We did get some because I wasn't paying attention. As a matter of fact, this conveyor loader can probably pick up anything we have inside of the room, and it will just be stored in the main storage. Totally forgot to check my food again. We have some food issues because because I haven't set up the automatic killing just yet, but we're gonna do that very soon. Right now, I'm just getting rid of a bunch of these critters, and then it looks like we'll soon have some incoming Pacus. Yeah, they're soon gonna die of old age. The filter gate right here for the delay, I'm gonna set to about 60 seconds. So we have a minute worth of time in order to refill the status with the natural gas generators, and if that isn't happening, the petroleum ones are gonna help out. I also would like to see my fire pole maybe once again. Yeah, let's try to replace that. And I'm collecting some more obsidian to build the rest of my ladders. I just feel like in every hot room I want obsidian ladders. I don't know why. There it is, smart battery. Now we had the hydrogen at 95 and 90%. I want this to be a little bit lower. Let's say 80% is going to be the next threshold. Then 60 seconds later, the petroleum generators are going to be activated. And if that all fails, we'll have to go to another one. Okay, let's also go for an expansion here with the steam turbine, even though it's not quite necessary just yet, but I want to get this out of the way. And especially with the cooling, we need to think about that. Yeah, I'm probably going to go around the entirety of the sauna. Can we set up another one? I think, wait, do we have the space for another one? No, it's just one block too small for that purpose. I'm not 100% sure yet. For now, let's just get this out of here and connect it to the loop. But I still feel like we've made a lot of progress. Let's not forget about the big hole we poked in here, but I think it's going to be good to get rid of some of that stuff. And eventually, as soon as we build the industrial sauna, we can change where the natural gas is going, maybe even make a storage for it. Okay, before we wrap everything up, I noticed two things during editing. One of which is that the auto sweeper right here is always going to pick out all the food if I have it set up this way. Of course, I need to remove everything from edible that I actually want to keep in the storage. That would be things like the cooked seafood, the fried mushroom, just everything that has been cooked. Hold the phone. This is absolutely useless. We can just remove the entire edible category. Yeah, this is not going to work. Not with this auto sweeper, because it can always reach this tile and it can also reach a large portion of the ground. So all the food we're dropping, we cannot pick up with this one, because it will then just go ahead and cycle all the food. And of course, that doesn't make sense. We want to keep the food in here and only pick it out once we actually need it. And that's why I have this refrigerator, just limited to 2 kilograms, and the duplicants will be able to distribute it amongst the various refrigerators. Yeah, for that reason, I might have to revamp the structure. For now, I'm just not getting the food out of there unless I put it in the refrigerator or into this conveyor loader if I want to remove it entirely from the frozen tile. Yeah, either way, the second mistake that I noticed is that we will not be able to actually put this into a conveyor loader. Like, I have the auto sweepers, but no space for a conveyor loader. One way we could solve this, since I only made the space for 4 of these generators, is just leave a little bit more space, but that will also require me to move the smart battery. This way I have the space for a conveyor loader, let's say here, and this is still going to be able to cover the entirety. So I rather remove one of these batteries right here, replace it with a smart battery at the bottom. Okay, but with that out of the way, I would say we're going to wrap it up for today's episode. I need to take a little break. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great time, and hopefully I'm going to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.